Good afternoon to all participants. On behalf of the Academy, I welcome you to day 36 of the Appendix 3 session. The topic for the day is incentive schemes in workshop. To take you through the topic, we have with us Sri M. Narasimha Garu, Senior Instructor, STC, Secunderabad. Good afternoon, sir, and welcome to the session. Now over to you for the next 90 minutes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Good afternoon, everybody. So, as Sir introduced, I am.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. See, as Sir introduced, myself, I am senior lecturer here in STC. Since I worked in workshops, when I was working in Mysore workshop and Nalgonda workshop, I was giving. I was working in workshops, so I used to work on the CAW pattern of incentive schemes. Where at the end of every month, we used to candidate for have become conversant with the incentive schemes, and there is a reason why Mr. Nageshwar sir asked me to take a class. So I will be taking a class on incentive schemes in workshops, and in particular, two types of incentive schemes are there. Both the types I will be explaining you. First, we will go through the CLW pattern of incentive scheme, then later groups pattern of incentive scheme, which is also called as rights pattern of incentive scheme, group incentive scheme or rights incentive scheme. And finally, I will be comparing these two schemes. Okay. So first, what is the need of the incentive? Why incentive schemes are required? That we'll see. The main need of the incentive scheme is to improve the productivity by better utilization of manpower, MNP, and covered area. These are the three main inputs for getting output. What are the three inputs? One is manpower, second one is MNP, and the third one is covered area. Covered area means sheds or the permanent structure, civil structure. So now, how to improve the productivity? Productivity means, it is output by input. One way of increasing the productivity is by giving more inputs, you can get more output. But productivity will not be improved, because productivity should be improved means output should be more, but input also should not be more. Input should be less. Then only productivity will be increased. So how to improve the productivity in workshop? By better utilization of manpower, by taking the manpower, by using the manpower in a better way, you can extract more work from the manpower. Thereby, you can increase the productivity. Second one is you can, by better utilization of MNP, by putting the machine and plant available in the workshop to more use, optimum use, you can improve the production. Thereby, you can increase the productivity. Similarly, the covered area or the permanent structure, whatever is available in the workshop, by better utilization of this covered area also, you can improve the outcome. Thereby, you can increase the productivity. So, productivity can be improved by better utilization of manpower, inventory, and covered area. So one way of putting these inputs, better utilization of inputs, is introducing the incentive scheme. When you introduce the incentive scheme, automatically manpower will be better utilized, MNP will be utilized, and covered area also will be utilized in a better way. Thereby, you can get more productivity. See, one example I would like to give you at this stage. See, there is a one workshop in South Central Railway, Tirupati. That workshop, before introducing the incentive scheme in Tirupati workshop, the outcome of the workshop was 24 coaches per month. After introducing the incentive scheme in the year 2004, that is rights pattern of incentive scheme or group incentive scheme, the outcome is increased to by 3-fold. That means from 24 coaches to 72 coaches, the outcome increased. They have not increased any manpower, they have not increased any inventory, they have not increased any covered area. Only thing what they have done is they have utilized this inventory and manpower and covered area in a better way by introducing the incentive scheme. Now the same Tirupati workshop outcome is around 100 coaches. Of course, from 2004 onwards till 2021, there is some marginal improvement in manpower, marginal improvement in inventory, and marginal improvement in covered area. But productivity is increased by 3-fold. So that is the power of the incentive scheme. Now, see, we will see some history of the incentive scheme. Earlier, before independence, some piecework bonus system was in existence. Piecework bonus system means if you make 10 pieces, you will get 1,000 rupees. If you make 20 pieces, you will get 2,000 rupees. Piecework system. How many pieces you make, that much money you get. So that is also one type of improvement in the incentive scheme. So this was used in before independence in some workshops like Jamalpur, Kanchrapara, Perambur. Okay. However, the system adopted was varied from workshop to workshop. It was different from workshop to workshop. There was no unique system. There is some problem. Some people are telling there is some problem. Sound problem is there. Now is it rectified? You can message me and tell. Is it now audible to everybody? Okay. Mr. Ajay Singh is asking you to tell in Hindi.
Yeah, sir, tell me, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir, please carry.
So Railway Board took a decision to introduce the incentive scheme in the year 1949. Finally, Railway Board has taken a decision to introduce the scheme. And first, this scheme was introduced in Chittaranjan Locomotive Works in the year 1954. Since the scheme was introduced in Chittaranjan Locomotive Works, the name of the incentive scheme is kept as CLW pattern of incentive scheme. Okay. The scheme was successful. So the scheme was found successful. It was giving very good results. So that's why it was extended to ICF in 1960. Later, it was extended to many other workshops. Now, the review of productivity revealed that low standard of efficiency could be improved with the scheme. Now, after reviewing this, it is known that, or it is revealed that low standard of efficiency, people who are working at a low standard level, they will be improving their performance when such incentive schemes are introduced. I have told you one example also of Tirupati workshop. They were working with a low standard of efficiency. So when incentive scheme is introduced, their efficiency is increased and the productivity also increased. So this review revealed that low standard of efficiency can be improved by introducing incentive schemes. And it will also provide better control of it. See, whenever any scheme is introduced, the work will be systematized. Earlier, since there is no proper measurement of work, how much each individual is doing, there was no measurement. Because there is no incentive scheme, there is no measurement. So the control of activity also will not be optimum. But when you start measuring the work, when you start controlling the work, definitely it will provide a better control of all activities in the workshop. And the systematic flow of work. So once you start measuring, once you start systematizing the work, the control of activity will be better and the flow of the work also will be systematized. So these are the advantages which were revealed in the review of productivity after introducing the incentive scheme. And more effort by an individual. So individual workers also, when you say that you will be getting more, when you will get more money, then they will also try to put more effort. So individual try to put more effort. Otherwise, how it is possible to increase the outcome from 24% to 70? So earlier, when there is no incentive, they were working leisurely. When incentive was reduced, they tried to put more effort and they have increased the outcome. So whenever the incentive schemes are introduced, definitely individuals will try to put more efforts. So that was it. Now, in Chittaranjan locomotive works, we will see what are all the different features. See, piecework bonus system. Somebody is asking, Mr. Ajay Singh. Piecework bonus means if you work in piece number of pieces. If you work make this number of pieces, this much. If you work make more number of pieces, probably they will be offering some rate, more rate. Maybe such type of system is called piecework system. So that was there prior to this incentive scheme was introduced. But after the CLW pattern, now the next scheme is only rights pattern of incentive. Okay. Now there is no piecework bonus system, nothing like that. So in CLW pattern of incentive scheme, the features, what are all the main features? We'll see. One is basic wages are guaranteed. So unless you guarantee their basic wages, workers will not come forward for accepting any scheme. So when you say that if you work more, you will get more. If you don't work more, you will not get more. Then workers will be first they will be frightened. Right? If you are not able to work to their expectations, probably or salary we may not get. So that fear should be removed from the workers first. So that's why the first and foremost feature of the scheme is basic wages are guaranteed. Your basic plus DA and HRA, whatever is there, that is there guaranteed. Whether you get incentive or not, your wages are guaranteed. Then little louder, okay. Then time is the yardstick for measuring the work. See, work should be measured. When you are giving more money, you have to measure how much each individual is doing. So after measuring only, you will give based on their output. So for measuring work here, time is taken as the yardstick. Means every work will be given some time. And based on the time taken by each worker, their work will be measured. So for making this work time as a measurement, how to make this time as a measurement? For that, various operations in the workshop are subject to time study. So unless you conduct time study for all the operations, you cannot fix time for every activity. So to measure the work, all the operations inside the workshop are subjected to time study. So time study is conducted on all the activities of the workshop, and for each activity, time is fixed. So how time study is conducted, how the time is arrived, that we will see in the next few slides. The allowed time so fixed, the allowed time is so fixed that the workman of normal ability may earn 33.13% incentive. Here, while fixing the time after conducting time study, we will fix the allowed time. Allowed time is the time given to the worker to complete the work. So the allowed time is so fixed that a worker of normal ability also earns minimum 33% incentive. Here, this assurance is given so that all the workers will have a fair chance to earn incentive. If you say that workers who are working at a faster rate only will get incentive, other workers will not get incentive, means many workers will get, discouraged. To encourage maximum percentage of the workers, fixing of the time, while fixing the time itself, they have taken care that a person of normal ability, means he need not be a superhuman being or he need not be a excellent person. A normal ability person also will earn minimum 33% incentive. That feature is adopted, means they have, while designing the scheme itself, they have taken care that a person of normal ability also earns minimum 33%. Okay, to assure the persons who are working at normal ability also. And here, while fixing the allowed time, all allowances like fatigue allowance, general handling, gauging, and productivity bonus allowance. All these allowances are there. Fatigue means, when you are working, you'll get tired. For that, some allowance is required. General handling, for taking the workpiece, loading the workpiece, unloading the workpiece, that is a general handling of the workpiece and machine. Then gauging, whenever you do some machining, you have to check whether the correct dimension is arrived at or not. And finally, productivity bonus allowance is, this is the allowance given to enable a normal ability person to earn 33%. See, when we are saying that a person of normal ability also earns minimum 33% incentive, how will ensure this? By giving 33% extra time. So that is what productivity bonus allowance. So in addition to these all allowances, we are giving productivity bonus allowance of 33% extra to enable a person of normal ability to earn 33%. When you are giving 33% extra time, so that 33% they will save, and that they will get as incentive. Over and above that, if they want to get incentive, they have to work more. So minimum up to 33% we are taking care. Over and above, if they want to earn incentive, they have to work more, work hard. Okay. Now, there are some assumptions made in this scheme. One assumption is based on the concept that an average worker, while working under non-incentive conditions, is assumed to be working at a rating of 60 units. This is one assumption. An average worker, when he is working under non-incentive conditions, is assumed to be working at a rate. When there is no incentive, generally people will work at a leisure rate. So how in Tirupati workshop, before introduction of this scheme, when they are giving 24 coaches, how they were working? They were working leisurely. So that rating at which a person under non-incentive condition works is assumed as 60 units. So when there is no incentive, when the worker is working at leisurely, the rate at which the worker works is assumed as 60 units. Now, when the same worker is asked to work under incentive conditions, what will happen? The worker will try to put some efforts, extra efforts. So the same worker under non-incentive conditions would be working at 80 rating. So that extra effort, after putting that extra effort to when he is asked to work under incentive condition, he is assumed to improve his rating from 60 to 80. So this is an assumption. How it was 60, how it was 80? No, it is only an assumption. So generally, people will be working at leisurely when there is no incentive scheme, and when the same worker is asked to work under incentive scheme, he is assumed to improve his performance rating. So that rating is assumed as 80 rating. Okay, this is an assumption. That means average worker would finish the work in 3/4 of the allowed time. Whatever the time is given, the worker will finish the work in 3/4 of the time when he is working under incentive conditions. Under non-incentive conditions, if he is taking 60 minutes, under incentive conditions, he is expected to complete the work in 3/4 of the time. 3/4 of the time means 45 minutes. He is expected to finish the work. Under non-incentive condition, if a worker is taking 60 minutes to complete a work, that worker is assumed to complete the work in 45 minutes when he is asked to work under incentive condition. That means the worker will finish the work in 3/4 of the allowed time. That is an assumption made in this scheme. And calculation is done on monthly basis, and the gain or loss cannot be carried out to the next month. So when incentive is calculated, it will be calculated on monthly basis. Whatever he has done work for this month, that will be calculated for this month, and the incentive will be calculated for this month. If work will not be reserved for carrying forward to the next month. Similarly, if he is not able to earn incentive this month, this cannot be made up with the next month's outturn. So loss or gain It should not be carried out to the next month. The ceiling limit is fixed at 50% of the time taken. So maximum incentive a person can earn is 50%. More than that, it will not allow us. So this is the ceiling limit. Okay. Minimum is 33%, maximum is 50%. Now, under this scheme, workers are divided into three categories. One is direct workers. Second one is essentially indirect workers. The third one is indirect workers. There are three categories of workers. We'll see who are they. So, direct workers are those workers who are engaged in work which can be assessed through time studies. So, their work can be assessed through time study. How much work they are doing, for each work, how much time is required, that can be assessed through time study. Such work, workers who are working in such work or who are engaged in such work are called as direct workers. Next, essentially indirect workers. Now, direct workers examples are working in machine shop, wheel shop. So, in machine shop, you will be doing some manufacturing activity. Each work can be assessed through time study. Similarly, in wheel shop, you will be either turning the wheel or pressing the wheel. So, that also can be assessed through time studies. So, EIWs means essentially indirect workers means those who contribute to the continuity of the work. So, they will not directly do any production work, but they contribute to the continuity of the work. Now, in the wheel shop, if you see, loading the wheel on the wheel lathe and unloading it, you cannot do it manually. A crane is required. So, crane operator will be there. Similarly, wheel will be brought through a forklift. So, here that forklift driver and the crane operator, they contribute to the continuity of the work. But their work we cannot assess through time studies. In a bogie shop or wheel shop, how many times you would call the forklift, how many times the crane will be required, how much load the crane lifts, this we cannot assess. So whenever required, you will be calling them, whenever not required, you will not come. So their contribution cannot be assessed through time studies. So that's why they are called as essentially indirect workers. They contribute to the continuity of the work, but their work cannot be assessed through time studies. Next, indirect workers, third category, who are provided for cleaning, etc. Do not contribute directly or indirectly. So generally they are involved in cleaning of the work and some office messenger work or fuel work. So they will not contribute directly or indirectly to the work. So in these direct workers, they will be paid 100% incentive. Essentially indirect workers, they will be paid 80% of the sections in the incentive. And IWs, indirect workers, they will not get any incentive. Okay. Because they are directly doing the work which can be assessed and they are doing directly the main work or production work. Whereas essentially indirect workers, they will not do the direct production work, only they will contribute to the continuity. That's why they will pay 80%. So IWs, neither they contribute to the continuity work, nor they are involved in any production work. That's why they will not be paid any incentive. Now, timing of operation. How the time study is conducted, how the time is fixed for each operation. It's called time study. Now, how timing is fixed, we will see. The only check on the efficiency of the labor is the systematic comparison of the time taken with actual time. So, how do you check the efficiency of labor? Which worker has worked more, which worker has worked less? Only we will compare the time taken by them. How much time they have taken and how much time actually the work is given them. So, by comparison of this only, we will be checking the efficiency. Now, time study means fixation of time standards for each operation. Time study means it is fixing of time for each operation. That's called time study. And it is also defined as it's a technique for determining as accurately as possible from a limited number of observations. So the time study is defined as a technique for determining as accurately as possible from a limited number of observations. So for finding, determining the time required for each operation, one observation will not be sufficient, because when you do it once, if it does the work at a slow rate, then that observation, if you take that time into consideration, it will take more time you have to keep for that work, and later all the people will take more time and you will get less production. Your productivity will come down. So that's why you have to take number of observations, and we have to take average, and we have to take observations from different workers also. If you take only one worker into consideration for conducting time study, if that worker happens to be a slow worker, then what will happen? You will be ending up giving more time to the work, and finally your productivity will go. So that's why we should determine the time as accurately as possible from limited number of observations and from different people. So time study inspector will conduct number of observations and with different workers, so that you will get more appropriate time required for the job. Now, one more concept is there in the time study, that's called rating. Rating means speed, or we can say rating is the assessment of the skill and effort involved in each element. Now, when you ask one work, let us suppose there is one job. One job means wheel turning. Okay, you are all accounts people, no? So wheel turning means you don't know. I'll take one example: thread cutting of a bar. One bar is there, and that you have to cut threads. If you ask one worker to cut the threads, he may take half an hour. If you ask the same work for another person, he may take only 15 minutes. If you ask the same job to be done by another person, he may do it 10 minutes. That means, what is the difference here? People are having different skills and effort. So based on the skill and effort involved in each element by the workers, we will be giving different rating. Why we should give rating? Because we have to normalize the time. Because one person is taking 30 minutes, one person is taking 15 minutes, and another person is taking only 10 minutes. If you take 30 minutes, then you have to give 30 minutes to all people. And some people will finish in 10 minutes, and the remaining 20 minutes will be wasted. If you take these 10 minutes into consideration, many people will find it difficult to complete the job in 10 minutes. So that's why we have to normalize the time, so that this can be this time will be suitable to the maximum group of the people. It should not be suitable to only particular group. The time should be adaptable to many workers, almost all the workers. So we have to normalize that. For normalizing only, we have to give rating to the workers based on their assessment of skill and effort. Now, how to give rating, how to normalize, that we will see. Different operative workers performing the same job are studied, and the results are checked by the superior agency. See, that's why what we will do is different operative workers. Same job will be, when you are conducting time study, same job will be given to different operative workers, and the results are checked. Now, how normalizing is done? On completion of time study, the actual time of all the elements in the work cycle should be converted to LT rating. Here, rating, there are different types of ratings. If a worker is working at a slow pace, taking more time for doing a small job, we will give him slow rating, that is 40 rating. One more worker, he is also very slow, but not as slow as the earlier person. He is also doing at a slow rate, slow pace or slow speed. We will give him 60 rating. 80 is the standard rating, means without wasting much time, if a worker is working sincerely, then we will give him standard rating, that is 80 rating. If a worker is working at faster speed, within no time he is finishing, then we will give him 100 rating. Now let's take another example. A worker is so expert that he is very fast in doing work, then we will give 120 rating. So finally, whether that worker is working at 40 rating, 60 rating, 80 rating, or 100 or 120 rating, will convert the time taken by all the workers into 80 rating, so that many people can achieve this time. All the people will find it comfortable to work with this time, because if you keep 120 rating or 100 rating, many people cannot catch up that rating. Okay, because that's a very fast rating. All the people may not be able to do it that speed. Similarly, if you fix the time based on 60 rating or 40 rating, you have to give more time to them and the productivity will come down. So to keep in view of all the workers' capability, we should convert all the timings into a standard rating, that is 80 rating. Okay. So converting the timings to 80 rating is called normalizing. When you conduct time study, you will get some time. So that time, it depends upon the rating of the person. One person will take only 60 minutes, one person 40, one person 80, one person 100, one person 20. But all those timings should be normalized by converting them to 80 ratings. That is called normalizing. Okay. So normalizing means different rating people, or the time taken by the different people, converting them into a standard rating or standard time is called normalizing. So normalizing formula is normalized time is equal to actual time multiplied by observed rating divided by incentive rating. See here, actual time means the time taken by the worker. Observed rating means the time study inspector will be observing the worker. If he is working at a normal rate, means okay, without wasting much time, if he is working at a comfortable timing, we will give him standard rating, that is 80. If in view of the work study inspector, the worker is working at a slower rate, then he will give him 60 rating. If in view of the work study inspector is working very slowly, he will give him 40 rating. Observed rating will become 40. If the one worker is working at a higher speed, then he will give him 100 rating. If one more worker is working at a very fast rate, then give him 120 rating. So by giving different ratings, all those ratings we are converting into standard rating, 80 rating. That is called normalized. So we'll be normalizing the all timings taken by different people. By giving suitable rating to them, we will convert those timing into normal time by bringing them into 80 rating, that is standard rating. So converting the time taken by different people into standard rating is called normalizing. Normalizing means converting the timings taken by different categories of people to normalized time, that is called normalizing. Okay. Now we'll see, take one example, how this normalizing is done. Now we'll take the example of a slow worker. Okay, the worker, the way in which he is working is appears to be a slow worker. So let us suppose he has taken 60 minutes to complete the work. Since that worker is a slow worker, we'll give him little lesser rating. That is, we'll give only 60 rating because he is working at a slow speed. But what is the actual time taken by him? 60 minutes. What is the rating we have given to him? 60. And we have to convert this rating into standard rating. That's why we have to divide it by 80. That is standard rating or incentive. So 60 into 60 by 80 is 45 minutes. Now this is the normalized time. Though he has taken 60 minutes, since he is working at a lower speed or lower rating, we have converted it into standard rating and we have normalized the time. So after normalizing, 60 minutes is becoming as 45 minutes. So here after normalizing, the time has become 45 minutes. That means the worker is working at a slow rate. So the worker is working at a slow rate. So if you fix the time based on this worker's timing, then we have to give more time and the productivity will come in. So let's standardize it or normalize it. So we have normalized by giving suitable rating to him, and by bringing it to standard rating, we have normalized it to 40. Similarly, let us suppose while conducting time study, that worker which whom we have selected is a fast worker, and he has taken only 36 minutes to complete the work. Slow worker where he has taken 60 minutes, and the fast worker has taken only 30 minutes. But if you take this time as standard timing, then many people will find it difficult because the slow worker is taking 60. So completing in 36 minutes is difficult. So this also should be normalized. So how to normalize actual time? Is 36 minutes. We will give him more rating because he is working at a faster speed. So what rating we are giving? We will give 100 rating. And we will convert it into 80 rating. So 36 into 100 divided by 80. If you convert it to 80 rating, it will become 45. That means though he has taken 36 minutes, if you normalize it, it's coming to 45 minutes. So 45 will be the normalized time so that many people can achieve that timing without much problem. If you take 60 minutes, it is a loss to the organization. Standard productivity will be less. If you take 36 minutes into consideration, many people will find it difficult to achieve that timing. So normalize the time, 45 minutes if you give, all will get incentive without much problem. So that is the idea behind normalizing. Allowances. Now here after conducting time study, what we get is called observed time or actual time. So that will be normalizing and we will get normalized time. Over the normalized time, we will give allowances. What are the allowances? We have already discussed. General handling and contingency, that is up to 12.5%. Then fatigue allowance. Fatigue ranges from 12.5 to 25, depending upon the nature of the work. Gauging on machining, wherever machining is there you have to give gauging allowance, that is up to 5%. Then production bonus allowance. This allowance is given in this particular scheme to see that a person of normal ability also earns minimum 33% incentive. See, somebody is asking me, please again explain observed rating. See, observed rating is nothing but it is in view of the work study inspector or time study inspector. If the worker is working at a slower rate, he will give slower rating. If he is working in a normal rate, he will give standard rating. If he is working in a faster rating, he will give higher rating. So it is the assessment of the work study inspector in view of the work study inspector at what rate, at what speed the worker is working. That is rating, observed rating. So the main purpose of giving observed rating is to bring it to the normal standard rating. All the timings should be brought to one standard rating. That is the idea behind giving observed rating. Okay. If in view of the work study inspector, if a worker works at a slow rate, we will give low rating, 60, 40. In view of the work study inspector, if the worker is working at a faster rate, we will give him 100 and 120. If he is working at a standard rate without wasting much time working normally, then we will give standard rate. The idea of giving this is again to bring to a normal time so that all the workers should find it convenient to earn the incentive and convenient to finish the work within the time. That is the observed rating. By giving observed rating, we will be bringing the time to standard rating and normalized time. For normalizing the time, these ratings are used. Okay. So this observed rating is only a personal assessment of the time study inspector. I think you are clear, Mr. Bihari, G. Bihari. Okay. Now, production bonus allowance, as I told you earlier, it is given in this particular scheme so that a person of normal ability also earn a minimum 33%. To enable a person of normal ability person to earn a minimum 33%. This extra production bonus allowance of 33% is added. Okay. So all these allowances are added to the normalized time. So that will become allowed time. That is the allowed time means the time given for the work. Allowed time is the final time that will be printed in the production documents. You know, job cards, cards will be there. In the production documents, those timings will be printed. Allowed time for each job. Okay, now we'll see how allowed time is arrived. First, what we will do, we'll conduct time study. We'll get time taken, actual time. We'll give suitable rating. By giving suitable rating to him, observed rating, we'll bring it to standard rate and we'll normalize the time. So after, let us suppose after normalizing, the time given to one particular work is 1 hour. Okay, after normalizing. Okay, now after normalizing, what we will do? We will add allowances. So the allowances are fatigue allowance. Let us suppose 12.5% is the fatigue allowance. So that will be added. 0.125 hours will be added. And contingency allowance. Let us suppose 10%. So that also will be added. So it will become 1.2375. Then production bonus allowance 36.33. That is also added. So it's becoming 1.64. Gauging allowance. Totally, it's becoming 1.728 hours. So 1 hour is becoming 1.728 hours. But here, the 7th Pay Commission, they have imposed 10% cut on the timing. So that's why now, to the normalized hour, they are multiplying it by 1.65. So if 1 hour is the normalization, 1.65 hours will be the allowed time given to the worker. So within that time, you should finish and you should save time some time and earn incentive. So how the time is saved, how the incentive is calculated, we will see. Now calculation of incentive, how incentive is calculated. So allowed time, we have seen how allowed time is fixed. We have fixed the allowed time given for each job. Now incentive, how it is calculated? Incentive earned is equal to allowed time, means this is the time given to the worker after normalizing, after adding all the allowances, that time. That is the time given to the worker. But worker is expected to finish the work earlier than this to earn incentive. So that is called time taken. This is the time taken by the worker. So allowed time minus time taken, this is called time saved. So though the worker, second worker takes lesser time and his observed rating is 100, since his normalized time is same as the first worker, will he not be demotivated to work? See, this is only for conducting time study. It is not motivation or demotivation. Only one worker is not going to work in the workshop. There are hundreds of workers. In the interest of a group of workers, we are only selecting 1, 2, 3 workers for time study purpose. In that, one worker may be fast, one worker may be slow. But our aim is the whole group of workers, they should get justice. They should not be unnecessarily given more time, or they should not be unnecessarily given less time. So more appropriate time should be given to all the workers. That is the intention behind normalizing. Okay, here not motivating or demotivating. Okay, it is Mr. Who is he? From Lenovo. Oh, his name is not there. I think I am clear to you. Okay, it is not the motivating or demotivating. It is only the main maximum workers group should not get an unnecessary advantage or unnecessary disadvantage. All should have equal opportunity. That is the reason behind fixing these ratings and bringing them to normal time. Okay. Now in this, incentive earned will be calculated like this: time saved divided by time taken. How much time he is given, how much time he is taken. So that will be time saved and divided by time taken. Now, for example, he is doing one job. For that particular job, allowed time is 45 minutes. That is the time given to him. But he has completed in 30 minutes only. So, allowed time minus time taken, 45 minutes 30 is 15 time minutes is the time saved. So 15 divided by 30, time taken is 30. So 15 by 30 is 50%. He has earned 50% incentive. Because incentive is always calculated based on time taken. So 50% incentive here. Now, if I say 50%, how much money he will get? That finally we should know. Okay. How this incentive percentage calculated into converted into hours and how finally monetary value is arrived at, we will see now. So time saved divided by time taken. This is the formula for incentive. How much time he has saved. That how we will get allowed time minus time taken divided by time. So this is the only formula in incentive for calculating the incentive. Now we'll take another example. In a month, at the end of the month, let us suppose the worker has taken 200 hours. Now, how you will come to know how much time he has taken in the month? His GA card, graded attendance card will be there. Every morning while going in, he will punch. Lunchtime punch out. Again after lunch, he punch in. Again evening, he punch out. So that timings. Generally, for manpower planning and incentive purposes, 200 hours is the time. Generally, for each month, we will be considering 200 because it varies depending upon the number of working days in a month. It varies from 187 to 217.5. But on an average, we will take 200 as in monthly hours. So let us suppose a worker has worked 200 hours in a month, and he has done a job which is equivalent to allowed time of 280 hours. So all the jobs which he has done in the 1 month, if you calculate all the allowed times, let us suppose he is earning 280 hours. That means 280 hours he was given to complete the work, but he has done it only 200 hours. That means he has saved 80 hours. So how you will calculate incentive? Allowed time minus time taken. 280 hours minus 200. So 80 hours he has taken time saved. 80 divided by 200 is 40%. This is the incentive percentage he has earned in a month. Now monetary value is. So how many hours he has saved? 80 hours he has saved. Hourly rate. Each worker will have an hourly rate. Now after 7th pay commission, I think senior technician is having around 110 as an hourly rate. If he saves 1 hour, he will be paid 110 rupees. Now in this particular month, this worker has saved 80 hours. So 80 into 110, 8,800 rupees he will be paid incentive. Okay, so if he can earn up to 50%. 50% means he can earn up to in 200 hours, he can save 100 hours. So had he earned 50% incentive, he would have got 110 into 100. That is 11,000 he would have got incentive. So that is the maximum limit. He can go up to 100%, 50% incentive. That means 100 hours he can save. So 100 hours will be equal to 11,000 rupees. This is how incentive is calculated. Okay, how much time he saved and hourly rate. Based on hourly rate, he will be paid incentive. This hourly rate varies. For technician 1, technician 2, some 110 is there, and for technician 3 onwards, I think some 90, 95, and for classes somewhere around 60, 70. I don't know exactly, but this is 110 is there for senior technician. For JEs, it will be more. For JEs, somewhere it is 125 rupees is there. So depending hourly rate changes from grade to grade. I think it's clear to you. Now synthetic timings. See, while conducting time study, for every activity we will conduct time study, but some of the activities will be repetitive in nature. Whenever repetitive activities are there, we will not conduct a time study for each repetitive element. So such repetitive elements, once we conduct time study, those timings will be taken whenever that element is repeating. So such timings are called synthetic times. That means loading and unloading values. So workpiece loading in the machine, unloading. So though the operation is different, loading and unloading will be almost same. Similarly, setting of values, tool setting, work setting will be almost same with though the operation is different. Changing tool values. Tool also will be changing for different operations, but changing tool may be almost common. So once you conduct a time study for such elements, these elements can be standardized and these timings can be used whenever such repetitive work comes into picture. Every time we need not conduct time study. So these times are called synthetic times. extra time. Extra time over the allowed time can be allowed due to, see, whatever the allowed time we are given, over and above that, we can give some extra time also. When there is excess machining work required and castings, forgings, bars, etc. Sometimes excess machining work will be there. Now there is, for example, there is a hollow blow holes in the casting. Whenever a blow hole is there, that complete portion you have to turn out. Blow hole is there, and some manufacturing defect is there. So in such cases, normal hours, normal timings which are given to that work may not be sufficient. So whenever such low defects are there in the machines or forgings or in the raw material, then you can give excess time. Hard material. When the material is hard, you cannot give more depth of cut. When hard material is there, you can give only little depth of cut. If you give more depth of cut, tool will break. So when hard material is there, you can give only small depth of cut, then it will take more time to machine that material. So when hard material is there, you have to give some extra time. Otherwise, it is not possible to complete the work within the given time, because the time is fixed based on the normal material, not based on the hard material. Defects in the machine for which worker is not responsible. So there is a defect in the machine, he is not able to do the work at a faster rate. So the machine is not allowing him to work at a faster rate. Then he will be required some more time, extra time to do it. Because it is not the problem with the worker, it is the problem with the machine. Change in batch quantity against a work quantity. See, while fixing the time, you will take one particular batch or one particular quantity into consideration. If the quantity changes, probably the time which is fixed one that particular quantity may not be suitable. So in those circumstances, what we do? There is extra time. So batch quantity. When you are conducting time study, you have conducted time study for particular batch for 100 numbers of work pieces. You have conducted time study. So suddenly you will ask to make only 50 work pieces. So you conducted time study for 100. Based on that time, 50 batch may not work out, because so you have conducted time study for the batch, complete batch. So when the batch changes, the timings may not suit. So that time also you need to give some extra time. Job cards. See, these are the production documents, basic documents based on which incentive is calculated. Each worker will be given a job card. If you are giving one individual job to a worker, you will give a job card. If you are giving one job to a group of workers, you will give a squad card. In job card, what is the time allowed to the job will be there, and then the worker will punch in when he starts the work, will punch out when the work is finished. So that will be the time taken by the worker. Okay. So this is the document for calculation of the incentive. And squad card means it is used for a group of workers. Now, for example, wheel repair and body repair are there. These things cannot be done individually. Only one group will be doing. So when a group is working, all the group members' the ticket number will be entered in the squad card, and it will be punched in when they start. So the time starts. After the work is over, they punch out. So how much time they have taken, that will be calculated. Job squad or squad cards should be punched on and off with the aid of time recording clocks. On and off. When you start the work, punch in. When your work is over, punch out. From the time of punching, the job card should remain in the custody of time booth clerk. All completed job cards or squad cards should be sent to incentive bonus section within 48 hours. Once the job is over, those cards should be sent to incentive bonus section. Material scrap. Normally, bonus is payable on quantities of work which conform to specifications. When you do one job, it should be passed by the inspection department. Then only that job is acceptable and you will be paid incentive. But if that is not accepted by the inspector, that means you have not done the job properly, then that will not be passed by inspection and you will not be paid incentive for that particular job. because you have not done up to the specification. It should conform to the specification. Normally, bonus is payable on quantities of work which conform to the specification. Whatever the inspection criteria is there, that should conform to the specification. Then only you will pay incentive. But in some circumstances, if inspector certifies rejections are owing to material scrap, the reject of outcome will also be taken into account up to the percentage of work done. Because you see, if the inspector certifies that rejection is not because of the worker, it is because of the material scrap, it is because of the material, then till the percentage of work done by the worker, that will be accepted. Means that much work will be taken into account and incentive will be paid, because it is not the worker's mistake, it is because of the material defect. Because of the material defect, the work is refused or the work is failed. So it is not a problem with the worker. So in such circumstances, if the inspector certifies, he will be paid incentive on the reject part also. Next, idle time reduction from the supervisors. See, if there is an idle time means workers are not able to do the work because of some problem, that is called idle time. So what are all the different occasions in which the idle time comes? So shop JEs are responsible for lack of work and lack of tools. If work is not fed, it is the responsibility of JE. If tools are not given, it is the responsibility of JE. If work is not there, workers will not work. If tools are not there, workers will not work. Now, if the idle time of the workers is 2 to 10% because of the lack of work or lack of tools, for which JEs are responsible, and there is idle time, then 10% of the JEs incentive will be cut. If it is 10 to 15%, it is not 5, 10 to 15%, then 20% of the bonus or incentive of JEs will cut. If the idle time is more than 15% because of lack of tools or lack of work, then JEs will not be paid any incentive because they are responsible for lack of work and lack of tools. When idle time can be booked? No, when workers are working, power is not there, but their time will be running. They have entered into the workshop, they have punched the GA card, and the time will be taken into account. But they cannot do any work because there is no power. So that time what they have to punch idle card. So when you punch idle card, that time will not be considered for time. So idle time, when it can be booked? It can be booked when there is no power, when there is a machine repair, when there is lack of material, when there is lack of tools, waiting for work, crane repair, and other miscellaneous. In these circumstances, you can punch idle card. But if the idle card is punched because of lack of material, lack of tools, then it is the responsibility of JEs. These things, it is not the responsibility of JEs. Okay, now this is what we have discussed is CLW pattern of incentive. Now we'll discuss about the group incentive scheme. This is also called a rights pattern of incentive scheme. This is the latest incentive scheme introduced in maybe in 2002, 2003. Now it is in South Central Railway, in Tirupati and Rayanpadu workshop, it is there. And I think in Manchester workshop also it is introduced. Now, difference between idle time and extra time. See, extra time is the time given to the worker because it is not there is a problem in the raw material. Idle time is worker want to work but he cannot work because there is no power, no crane repair. So that is idle time. Okay. Extra time is there is a defect in the machine or defect in the workpiece, and the worker is not able to complete the work within the time. So since the defect is there in the workpiece itself or raw material, worker will be given extra time. That is extra time. Idle time is worker want to work, but there is no power. There is a machine repair. He is not able to do the work. That is idle time. Okay. So idle time will not be calculated for incentive. Extra time is the time, more time given to the worker, because there is a problem in the raw material for which worker is not responsible. Okay. I think I am clear to Mr. S.K. Nayak. S.K. Nayak, please type whether you are satisfied or not. Now we will discuss about the group incentive scheme. Okay. This new scheme, namely group incentive scheme, has been introduced in Tirupati and Nagpur workshop of this railway the year 2000. Later in Manchester of Orissa also, I think this scheme is there. In this scheme, main group is formed from a production group, main production shop of the plant. Here, now in the CLW pattern of incentive scheme, the yardstick was time. But here, the yardstick is standard production unit. So your work will be measured in terms of standard production unit. So what is the standard production unit? That will be defined by the management approved plan in the beginning of the financial year. Okay. So based on this one, in a coaching workshop, 3-tier non-AC coach, or we call it as SCN, that is the code of the coach. 3-tier our sleeper coach. Our sleeper coach is the standard production unit. All the coaches inside the workshop will be converted into number of sleeper coaches. So sleeper coaches, since it is standardized as one standard production unit, all the other types of coaches will be converted into number of sleeper coaches. Now, for example, AC 2-tier coach is there. That may be equal to 1.4 times of the sleeper coach. AC 3-tier is there. That may be equal to 1.2 times of the sleeper coach. General coach is there. That may be equal to 0.8 times of the sleeper coach. Similarly, power car is there. That may be equal to 2 sleeper coaches. Like that, all the different units will be converted into standard production units and will be expressed in terms of number of SPUs. Similarly, in wagon workshop, the box and wagon will be called as a standard production unit. BCN is here. BCN, there will be more work in compared to box and wagon. So BCN may be equalized as 1.3 times of box and wagon. Similarly, tank wagon is that may be equal to 2 times of box and wagon. Like that, all the units inside the wagon workshop will be converted into number of standard production units. Support shops incentive groups formed from various shops in the plant which directly support the activities of shops included under incentive production. See, under this incentive scheme, here also there are 3 categories. One is main production shop. Okay, main production shops means the main activity wherever takes place, like the bogie shop, wheel shop, then air brake shop, corrosion shop. They are main production shops. This will be one group. Then support shops. There is the second group. Support shop means these shops will be supporting the main production shop. For example, a plating shop is there. They will not make any coach or any wagon, but they'll supply. They'll cut the plates and supply to the main shop. Similarly, they'll make the components which are required for the main production shop. Now, one component shop is there. They'll be manufacturing small components and they'll be giving to the main production shop. So these are called support shops, like millwright shop is there. They'll not do any direct production, but they'll be giving support to the other main production shop. So these shops are called support shops. And the third category is support department. Support department means like industrial engineering department, computer cell, which are not directly connected to any department. They will be doing some background work. Okay. So here also there are 3 categories. In CLW also 3 categories. In CLW, what we did, direct workers, essentially indirect workers, and indirect workers. Here shops are divided like this: main production shops, support shops, and support department. Here main production shops will be getting 100% incentive. Support shops will be getting 80% of the incentive, and the support department will get 50%. The output performance from shops included under support shops cannot be quantified in measurable terms. Now, if you are doing in a main shop, probably standard production unit is there. Now you are in a support shop like millwright. How you can quantify the work in the measurable terms? You cannot quantify. But what will happen? Support shops and support departments also, they will define the quantum of work which is equivalent to one SPU, standard production. So in millwright, how much work will be equivalent to one standard production unit? In a plating shop, how many plates if you cut, that will be equivalent to one standard production unit. In a spitty shop, how much production will be equivalent to one standard? That will be defined. Okay. Because you cannot measure, define the work, you cannot quantify the work in measurable terms. Support departments incentive group formed from different departments under plant management who directly but essentially support the production. Support departments means they will be only from different departments under plant management who directly but essentially support the production. Now industrial engineering department is here. What they will do? They will calculate the incentive for all the shops. What is the equivalent standard production unit for each shop? They will define. So they will be just, what they will be only supporting the production department. That's why they're called support department. The output performance cannot be quantified in physical units. So for the support department, you cannot quantify their output in physical units. Management approved annual production plan for each incentive production group is defined before each financial year. So management approved annual production plan for this particular year. What is the total SPUs of the workshop? How many SPUs we have to produce for this year? So that plan will be given by the management for each financial year. It will be defined by the management for each financial year. And for each dispatchable product from the group, the applicable SPU of product is defined by you. Now, industrial engineering, IED means industrial engineering department. What this will do? This will, for each dispatchable unit from the group, for all the shops, what is the applicable SPU for work achieving one standard production unit? How much quantum of work in each shop supposed to do? That will be defined by IED. Because standard production unit cannot be visualized in each shop. In a plating shop, you cannot see any standard production because they're going on cutting plates. In the millwright shop, you cannot see what is the standard production. But if you come to body shop, probably there you can see one body, one wagon, over. So one standard production unit is not. But in other shops, this may not be possible. That's why each dispatchable unit, what is the quantum of work in each shop, that will be defined by the industrial engineering department. The manpower okay, Hindi may be difficult to explain this, this technical terms in Hindi. थोड़ा थोड़ा बात करना तो आता है, उतना टेक्निकल समझाना बोले तो थोड़ा मुश्किल होता, फिर भी कोशिश करूंगा. ओके, Pawan, ICF. So the manpower strength including LR means leave result. So manpower strength including LR of 12.5% for each production group, for each shop, it will be given, it will be defined in annual production plan. Ideal hours. Now earlier we have the CLW pattern of incentive scheme. Idle time was there. Here also idle time is there. But in CLW, idle time is there for many other reasons: machine repair, crane repair, power failure, lack of work, lack of tools. But here, idle hours may be counted only power failure, that too at a stretch for a period of 60 minutes. More than 1 hour only we can count as idle time. Less than 1 hour, no. So that too only for power failure. Other reasons, power failure, idle time is not entertained. No idle time. Or work we have to manage, tools you have to procure, all those things, your headache. The incentive scheme will not worry whether you have tools or not. You have to take care of all those things. This scheme also does not permit plus cards. In CLW, we had one feature, that is, you cannot carry forward gain or loss. Here also, you cannot carry forward any gain or loss. Group attendance factor. You know, there is a factor called group attendance factor. Now, for example, in a bogey shop, a 20 members group is working. They have completely done their given their output. Whatever the standard production is, that much output they have given. But क्या हुआ इसमें एक आदमी absent हो गया पूरा महीना एक महीना नहीं आया. So there is a factor called group attendance factor. So that group attendance factor, instead of 1, it will become 0.99. There will be some calculation. So all 20 members present all 25 days, the group attendance factor will be 1. If one person is absent for 1 day, that much fraction it will come down, because total number of men into hours they will divide. So that fraction will come down. So that much fraction, group attendance factor will come down, and incentive also will come down by that fraction, because finally incentive will be multiplied with the group attendance factor. See, why group attendance factor is required? To promote more attendance. This factor is given. So though you are giving out 10, if your attendance is not 100%, your incentive also will not be 100%. It will come down by a fraction which is equivalent to the group attendance factor. This is to promote group attendance, more attendance. Excessive detention to the coaches in the plant affect the incentive. Now, in the coaching workshop, I have seen if a heavy corrosion coach comes, there is a heavy corrosion in the coach. That coach, if you go on working, it will not go in 2-3 months. So if you complete the coaching this month, you will get incentive for this month. But that coach will require 2 months. So what you will do? You have to do half work this month, half work next month. So whatever you do this month, you will not get incentive. That's why what they will do, they will keep such coaches aside and they will take only light coaches. But as a result of this, what will happen? That coach will be lying down there without any attention. Finally, that coach will go out after 5, 6, 7, 8 months. That means here the retention of the coach is 7, 8 months. Excessive retention of the coaches in the plant affect the incentive. In this incentive scheme, if a coach comes into the workshop, in 60 days it should go out. If it is not going in the 60 days, then on medical also, even on medical unfit also, it is group attendance factor will come down, whether medical or not. It can be medical or it can be leave or it can be absent. But it's a group attendance factor will come down. This is only by the fraction, okay, very small fraction, not complete incentive. So when you retain the coach for more days, your incentive will affect. But in CLW, there is no retention problem. Some of the coaches were sent even 7, 8 months afterwards also, but that will not affect any incentive. Here, they have connected this retention period also. If that coach is retained by more than the retention time, that coach will not be counted for incentive. You will not get any incentive. That's why you should not keep the coach for more time ideally. So that's called retention, excessive retention. Defects reported by the customer depots will affect the incentive. Now, you will turn out the coach or wagon. Coach 100 days value, wagon 90 days unloadable. If there is any report from your consumer depot, then your incentive will come down. Again, finally, this will be multiplied by a factor called customer linkage factor. So that linkage factor will come down whenever there is a complaint from the customer depot. That will reduce the incentive. But in CLW, once the coach is passed by the inspector, whatever may happen outside, there will be no effect on the incentive. So here, your customer should not give any bad remark on your work. That means within 100 days, your coach should not fail. Within 90 days, your wagon should not fail. Then only your full incentive will come. Otherwise, to that extent, incentive will come down. While deciding the outage, 70% weightage is given to the individual shop and 30% weightage is given to overall outage. Now, for example, your wheel shop is there. In wheel shop, you have given based on the standard production units how many wheels should give you have given. But you will not be given 100% incentive. You will be given only 70% incentive. Remaining 30% when the wagon or coach to which you are fitting the wheel that should go out of the workshop. Then only remaining 30% means 70% is to the individual shop and 30% to the overall outlay. Because our ultimate aim is not only just giving the wheel. Finally, coach or wagon also should come. अगर कोच बाहर नहीं गया, इतने भी व्हील्स सब रेडी करो कोई फायदा नहीं, इतने भी व्हील्स रखो वो फायदा नहीं. Finally, coach or wagon should go. Then only full incentive will be paid. Rework reduce the incentive, group incentive. Rework means you have not done the work properly. Then it has come back again, you have done the work. So that rework, whenever it comes for rework, it will reduce the incentive. Minimum bonus is 20%. Here, minimum incentive is 20. In CLW, it was 33. Here, it is 20. Maximum is 50. Now, we'll see the comparison between CLW and group incentive scheme. CLW incentive scheme is introduced in 1968 in CLW and extended to ICF and other workshops. Introduced in wheel and axle plant, Tirupati workshop and Rampad workshop and Manchester. So this is after in the 21st century. This is in around 50 years back. Before group incentive is 58 and this is around 2003, 4, okay. Almost 42 years difference is there. It is individual based. One person, if he is doing his work correctly, he will get full incentive. No link with the group. But here it's a group based. Though you are 100% attendant, you are doing 100% work, but your group also and your whole workshop should give you outage. Then only your 100% incentive will come. If you work, it is not sufficient. Your group, your whole workshop should perform. That's why it's called group incentive scheme. Minimum bonus is 33, minimum is 20. Maximum is 50, maximum is 50. Idle time can be booked on account of lack of tools, machine breakdown, non-availability of raw materials, all these things. But in GIS, only you can book idle time, power for power failure, that too for more than 1 hour. Less than 1 hour, you cannot book idle time. Once the outturn is dispatched from the shop, there is no provision for reduction of incentive for the bad workmanship. अगर एक बार CLW पैटर्न में आपका आपसे पास हो गया, बस अगर बाहर जाने के बाद डीरेल भी होने दो, कुछ भी होने दो, आपका इंसेंटिव में कुछ फर्क नहीं आएगा. लेकिन ग्रुप इंसेंटिव में क्वालिटी लिंकेज फैक्टर, योर कंज्यूमर डिपोज, दे शुड नॉट गिव एनी कंप्लेंट लाइक 100 days failure or 90 days unloadable. So any failure will affect the quality linkage factor, which in turn will reduce your incentive. Group attendance will not affect the incentive of individual. In CLW, only individual attendance, individual work. But in group attendance, group incentive scheme, group attendance also will affect the group incentive, individual incentive. Though you are 100% present, but in your group, if there is absenteeism, to that extent, your incentive will come down. Individual shop outturn is taken for bonus calculation. Now, though you are working in a group in a CLW pattern scheme, if you are working in your wheel shop, only wheel shop outturn will be taken into consideration. But in CLW, 70% will be to your wheel shop, remaining 30% weightage will be given to the outturn of the whole workshop. So your individual shop will get only 70% of the incentive, and remaining 30% then you will get only when the outturn goes from the workshop. Additional number of days of stay of coaches, that is detention period I was telling you. If in case of wagon it is around 30 days, in case of coach it is around 60 days. It should not stay for more time than this. But in CLW, you can keep one coach 100 days, 200 days, 300 days also. There is no check when this coach has come, when it is going. There is no incentive linked to the number of days of stay of the coach. But in GIS, more than 60 days, coaches detained in the shop for more than 60 days, it will affect the incentive. So within 60 days coach should go. If it is wagon, within 40 days it should go. Otherwise, afterwards, even if it goes, that time cannot be taken for calculation of the incentive. There are no equalizing factor for each type of work. Here in CLW, since time is the yardstick, all the activities are at given time, time is the only check. So whether you are doing a 3-type coach or 82-type coach or general coach, there is no equalizing factor. Everything is in terms of time. But in GIS, all types of coaches are converted into standard sleeper coaches. If you are doing AC 2-type, that will be converted into standard sleeper. If you are doing AC 3-type, that also converted. If you are doing AC sleep, you are doing only 3-type sleeper coaches, then sleeper coach is equal to sleeper coach. But other coaches are there, they will be converted into the standard production unit. SPU, I told you, no? So SPU is sleeper coach in case of coaching workshop, box and wagon in case of wagon. So all different types of rolling stock are converted into these standard production units. And one more main difference is number of men work in the production control organization. You know what is this production control organization? This PCO wing. This is called as PCO wing. See, this production control organization is required for running the CLW pattern. Sorry, CLW pattern to run this scheme. One planning and rate fixing section should be there. One progress section should be there. One inspection should be there. So the planning and rate fixing, progress and inspection, all the three shops will be coming under production control organization, which is required to run the CLW pattern of incentive. And in the PCO wing, around 200 members will be working in case of CLW scheme. So to run the CLW pattern of incentive, 200 members around big team is required. But if you take GIS team, only 4 to 5 men are required to work in industrial engineering department. Here itself, you can save a lot of manpower compared to CLW scheme. So these are the differences. Now, any doubts are there, you can clarify with me.
Participants, please raise your hands. Any queries?
You can speak now.
Mr. Pawan, please unmute.
हेलो नमस्ते सर।
हाँ बोलिए सर।
तो मनी वैल्यू ऑफ इंसेंटिव क्या है सर? मनी वैल्यू ऑफ इंसेंटिव का कैलकुलेशन।
I have told you that it depends upon the cadre. Technician 1, technician 2, different grades are there. Each grade will be given one hourly rate. One senior technician will get around now 110 rupees hourly rate. Okay. So if he is saving 100 hours in a month, 100 into 110 rupees, 11,000 he will get.
Okay, sir.
Hourly rate is given. Okay, hourly rate for different grades.
बट उसमें इंसेंटिव 40% ऊपर में लिखे थे।
हाँ, पर परसेंटेज में बताना है तो 40% बता सकते हैं। अगर पैसे में कैलकुलेट करना है तो 40% मतलब 80 घंटे सेव करना। सो 80 घंटे को 1 घंटे को 100 रुपए बोल तो 80 घंटे को 8,000। पैसे में एक्सप्रेस करना बोल तो वैसा कर सकते, परसेंटेज में करना बोल तो ऐसा 40 बोल के कर सकते।
ओके, आवरली रेट तो सभी के लिए अलग अलग होगा सर?
सीनियर टेक्नीशियन एंड टेक्नीशियन 1, टेक्नीशियन 2 को एक रहता, टेक्नीशियन 3 को अलग रहता, क्लासिक को अलग रहता और जेई को अलग रहता।
ओके, थैंक यू सर।
ओके,
Ajay Singh, please unmute.
अजय सिंह प्लीज।
हाँ सर, नमस्ते। CLW पैटर्न्स में आपने नॉर्मलाइजेशन टाइम बताया, नॉर्मलाइजेशन टाइम, उसमें फार्मूला बताया एक्चुअल टाइम इनटू ऑब्जर्व रेटिंग डिवाइड बाय 18। तो ये 18 किस बेस पर लिया गया?
80 is the standard rating because now this is all are in the work study. These are the terms used. 60 is the slow rating, 80 is the standard rating, 100 is the fast rating. But Still faster is 120, still slower is 40. These are the different grades kept in the C&W pattern of incentive scheme. Okay. Of course, other types of ratings are also there. Okay, but this is the one generally which we follow.
अच्छा
Next, Mr. Velluri, please unmute. Mr. Velluri. please
Sir,
unmute.
good evening, sir. Sir, what is the purpose of keeping the leave reserve in the estimation, sir?
Leave reserve. See, all the workers are not. You cannot expect all the workers to come to duty on one day. Okay, because they will be given leave. 30 days LAP is there, 8 days CL is there, 20 days LHAP is there. They will be going on leave. So if 100 members are required for one particular activity, if you keep 100, only 80 or 85 people will be coming. Then it will be difficult for you to reach the target. That's why 112.5 people will be kept. 12.5 will be kept as leave reserve to allow the people to go on leave. Am I clear to you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Next, Mr. Ajay Singh, please unmute.
सर राइट्स पैटर्न में सपोर्ट शॉप सपोर्ट डिपार्टमेंट क्या होता है सर?
Yes. Support shop means now see they make production shops, support shops, and support departments. Three are there. Production shop means like bogie shop, wheel shop. There directly the production activity takes place. Okay. Support shop means to support these shops, some other shops are there like millwright, plating, and component shop. Component shop people will be making components and they will be giving to the main production shop. Similarly, other shops like machine shop is here. They'll make small components and they'll be giving to main production. Support department means computer center, industrial engineering department. They are no way connected to production, but for overall running of the workshop, these support departments are required.
ओके और एक क्वेश्चन और है सर कि प्रोडक्शन यूनिट में आउटटर्न्स क्या है? आउटटर्न
Standard production unit. Standard production unit means because there will be different types of products will be coming out from workshop. So you cannot go on when you are giving the outturn, expressing the outturn, only in one unit you have to express the outturn. That unit is called standard production unit. Whatever the unit which comes out from the workshop in large number and which is convenient to express the outturn of the other products into that number, that will be selected as the standard production unit. And I told you, in case of wagon workshop, the standard production unit is a box and wagon because box and wagon number will be more. Similarly, in coaching workshop, 3-tier sleeper coach. Sleeper coach is number will be more. If you take one train, there will be 4 to 5 AC coaches, around 15 to 16 sleeper coaches, and 2-3 SLR and 1 GS. So more number of coaches will be sleeper coaches. That's why outturn will be expressed in terms of this is decided as the standard production units, and other coaches also they will be converted into this type of coaches as standard production.
ओके सर ओके थैंक यू सर
Sir, no more queries, sir.
We wait for 2 minutes and we'll close the session, or shall we start the proceedings?
Participants, any queries? Yeah, please raise your hand. Yeah. Sir, we can wind up this session.
So on behalf of the academy, I thank all the participants. I also thank the speaker of the day, Sri M. Narasimha Reddy Garu. Thank you one and all. Just to remind, tomorrow's session will be on GEM, Government E-Marketplace and E-Reverse Auction. The session will start at 14:45. Login time at 14:45. Session will start at 15 hours. Thank you one and all.
Thank you, sir.